What if the moment you stepped into an old, abandoned house, you unknowingly awakened something that's been waiting for years to be found? A presence so eerie, so unnerving. It seems to reach inside your very soul, controlling your every move. The moment I stepped into that attic, I thought I was just doing my job. Little did I know, I was about to uncover something far darker than I could ever imagine. Stick with me, because the terrifying truth behind what I saw in that attic will haunt you long after you finish watching. Don't forget to hit like, share this story with your friends, and subscribe to Disturbing Stories for more chilling tales. Story 1. The Invisible Entity. The house was everything I had been looking for. An old mansion on a quiet street, far from the hustle and bustle of the city. The structure was solid, and the wooden details gave me a sense of warmth. However, there was something peculiar about it. Something I couldn't explain, but that bothered me with every step I took. The attic was locked, and that, in itself, piqued my curiosity. I had never been the superstitious type, but something in that house made me feel watched, as though something or someone was always there, just waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. I spent the first few weeks ignoring the strange feeling. I went about my routine, doing the renovations the house needed, but I couldn't shake the sounds that began in the early hours of the morning. It started with faint creaks from above, but as days passed, the sounds became more distinct, almost like heavy footsteps. I tried to rationalize it. It's just the old pipes, I thought. But when the attic door opened for the first time, everything changed. I don't know what led me there. Something pushed me, an irrational curiosity I couldn't control. The latch on the door clicked, and I stepped in, taking a deep breath, trying not to show how nervous I was. The smell of mildew and old wood filled my lungs, and the darkness that consumed the space seemed to swallow every trace of light. The only light was from my flashlight, trembling in my hands. Up there, everything was covered in a thick layer of dust. The furniture was draped with white sheets, and there was a large trunk leaning against a corner. Something told me I should leave everything as it was, but instead, I moved toward the trunk. When I opened the lid, a strange sensation coursed through my body. I found nothing but aged papers and broken objects, but the presence there was palpable. Something or someone was in that attic. With every passing minute, the feeling of being watched grew stronger, as if the furniture, the objects, even the walls, were alive, silently watching me. That feeling turned into a weight in the air, as if time had stopped. The creaking of the wood, now louder, seemed to come from all directions. I went to the window, but the wind wasn't making those sounds. I turned around, and that's when I felt it. A presence behind me, a shadow, perhaps, that didn't reflect on the wall. Terror froze me in place. I looked at every corner of the attic, but there was nothing there. Nothing but the growing sense that something, someone, was watching every move I made. And the strangest part was that I couldn't move anymore, as if the house had trapped me. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps returned. But this time they weren't coming from above. They were coming from within me. My mind began to break. I was losing track of what was real and what was just fear. Deep down, I knew it wasn't the house that was alive, but something inside it, something that had been waiting for me all along. The attic door, which had been left open behind me, slammed shut with a bang, and at that moment, my panic was complete. I couldn't see clearly anymore. The flashlight flickered, and everything around me became a blur of shadows. I knew, with a certainty that chilled me to the bone, that something invisible had revealed itself to me. Something that was no longer a matter of imagination or coincidence. Something that was there in the attic, waiting for the right moment to make its presence known. Maybe that was the first time I truly saw what was hiding in that house, but it was also the moment I realized it wouldn't be the last. I still don't know what really happened that night. I only know that after my visit to the attic, nothing was the same. The sounds grew louder, closer, the presence more oppressive, and although I tried to move away, to leave for another place, something followed me. The attic didn't let me escape. Story 2. The Child in the Attic. I always thought my job in that house would be simple. A renovation here, a coat of paint there, maybe bringing some life back to that old place. But as the days passed, things started to take a turn I never could have predicted. From the first time I heard footsteps in the attic, I knew something was wrong. But it wasn't until that rainy afternoon, when I finally decided to investigate, that the real story began to unfold. The rain was beating hard against the windows. The sound of the water falling outside, creating a curtain of noise. I was in the living room, trying to organize some tools, when something made me look up toward the top of the stairs. I'm not the type to get easily scared, but at that moment, a cold sensation crept up my spine. It was as if something was calling me, something that didn't want to be ignored. I looked toward the attic and, for the first time, I couldn't ignore the weight of that closed door. I took a deep breath and walked up to the stairs, the steps creaking with every move I made. The door was slightly ajar, as if someone had tried to open it and changed their mind at the last moment. The air up there was thick, filled with the smell of mildew and a sense that time had stopped in that room. When I entered, everything looked the same as I remembered, except for one detail: a child. She was sitting on the floor in the darkest corner of the attic. Her eyes were locked on me, big and black, not moving. Her hair was messy, covering part of her face, and her clothes, old and torn, gave the impression that she didn't belong to this time. I should have run. I should have left immediately, but something stopped me. Curiosity, the desire to understand what was happening in that house, kept me from stepping back. The child didn't say a word. She didn't make any movements. She just watched me with a terrifying calmness. I stood there, paralyzed, staring at her, trying to make sense of what it all meant. After all, who was this child? And most importantly, how was she there? I approached slowly, but as soon as I took a step forward, the attic door slammed shut with a bang, making my heart race. The darkness took over the room, and I found myself completely immersed in a sense of claustrophobia. The flashlight I was holding flickered, nearly going out, but what scared me wasn't the failing light. It was the sound. The child, she started to sing. The melody was soft, almost like a lullaby, but there was something deeply wrong with it. With every word, I felt a growing pressure, as if the child were invading my mind, controlling my thoughts. I looked at her, but her eyes, those black, empty eyes, were void of any emotion. The song grew louder, more insistent, until I couldn't think clearly anymore. It was as though the song was drawing me towards something dark, something I didn't want to understand, but couldn't escape. Suddenly, everything stopped. The child who had been there, singing, vanished. I found myself alone in the attic again, the door now locked. The silence that enveloped the room was deafening, and the feeling that I had lost something, that I had become involved in something far bigger than myself, was unbearable. At the back of my mind, a question kept repeating itself. Who was that child? And more importantly, what did she want from me? I ran out of the attic, not daring to look back, but as the days passed, I knew there was no escaping. The child, the house, something deeper, was following me. I could feel it in the shadows, in the small changes in the atmosphere, in the echoes of a distant melody. It wasn't just the attic that was haunted. I was, in some way, trapped in the story I had started without meaning to. And the more I tried to escape, the more I felt myself caught in the web of an entity that wasn't ready to let me go. What if the moment you stepped into an old, abandoned house, You unknowingly awaken something that's been waiting for years to be found. A presence so eerie, so unnerving. It seems to reach inside your very soul, controlling your every move. The moment I stepped into that attic, I thought I was just doing my job. Little did I know, I was about to uncover something far darker than I could ever imagine. Stick with me, because the terrifying truth behind what I saw in that attic will haunt you long after you finish watching. If you want to keep up with more chilling stories, make sure to subscribe to Disturbing Stories, hit the like button, share this video with your friends, and activate the notification bell so you never miss a terrifying update.